Meow, meow, meow.
Hello, it's meow time for KittenouSbeast gaming videos for cats and their people. KatzeLande Prime, episode 21. Um, we're going to just pick up right where we left off. We're working on a few projects here in the base, primarily finishing up our redesign of the farm and the living space for the dupes. So that's great. All that seems to be in order. We've added additional restrooms and a recreation room, as well as, um, you know, made these specialized compartments, which will eventually become single-person rooms. Uh, so that's great. Made some nice progress there. Uh, in the meantime, we've also been working on trying to establish a pip farm over here. So we've got these waterweed plants we're attempting to plant in this little area, and that's really awesome. So we're going to continue to work on that. One thing I was thinking about was the priority issue. So just checking some priorities here. I've kind of been contemplating why haven't I not been able to get all of those waterweed seeds that I have. And I think there might be a container with priority 9 that is also holding waterweed seeds. And there it is. So that solves that little mystery. And I'm going to go ahead and set this down to 8 in terms of its priority. That way, this container could hold waterweed seeds if a priority container of 9 has been successfully completely filled, or if I turn the filter off, then they'll store it back here with urgency. So that'll work just fine for us. There's a new mallow weed seed, these bog bucket seeds and things. Now, I don't want the arbor acorns or bog buckets pulled because those are going to be planted up here eventually. So back to these pip farm projects. Let's go ahead and crack into this zone here to let this polluted oxygen into the chamber. It'll get filtered by my deodorizers and eventually give us access to this area for further development. Remember, we are planning on putting a pip planted farm here on this stretch of slime biome. Um, so that's the reason why this project is on hold. All right, so we've got our waterweed seeds all here. So the pips should make short work of planting those 15 additional seeds, hopefully. Gotta hope that the pips are cooperative. I think this guy's gonna go for it. Maybe this other guy. Which one's gonna do it? Who's gonna plant the next seed? It's a mystery. Here we go. Here he goes. Yeah, good little dude. Next one. So that's how you do it. You just you keep letting them plant the seeds one by one, and eventually you'll have yourself a nice uh, little pool. Um, nice, awesome. Let's go ahead and keep on working. Just keep an eye over here, see how this happens. Yeah, I'm just gonna inch in with these deodorizers and win this battle against this polluted oxygen as quickly as I possibly can. Meanwhile, there's a few tiles of polluted water here. Uh, it's a significant amount of water. It'll probably be kind of annoying, but what I'm going to attempt to do is slowly drain it out and mop it up. That's going to be my strategy here uh, with dealing with this particular obstacle, because I want to have plants planted down here. So I got to get rid of this water somehow. All right, got oh no, rotten pinch up peppermint. Now, what am I going to do with that? Well, apparently these guys eat rotten food, so Maybe I should stick them in a little ranch and feed them rotten food. Delightful. So I'm going to go ahead and maybe put a ranch down here for these little funny poka shells. Uh, I've never really done a poka shell ranch before. I understand that their moltings are valuable for making steel, so they're like a renewable source of lime, I guess. But let's kind of just take a look here, see what they do. So what do they eat? Rot piles, 140 kilograms per cycle. So they require loads of that stuff. And I'm not going to have loads of stuff. So I'm not necessarily worried about making this into a full-on ranch. I'm more or less just going to stash them down here with uh, a water-based uh, container for holding the rot piles and polluted dirt. Probably not polluted dirt because we're using that for oxygen production, but so I'm going to build a little thingy right there. I wonder if these guys care about atmosphere. Looks like they really don't. Um, so we'll whip this up real fast and just turn this into a real hmm. I'm now kind of thinking if I'm going to be building here, maybe I should build the ladder down, but maybe I want this to remain like an oxygen fresh zone down here. Just leave the carbon dioxide in its place. So I'll just go ahead and plan it out that way. Oh no. Oh, my Dreckos are starving. Oh dear. You can see that this hydrogen has really put the moves on this whole chamber now. So the whole chamber is now filled with hydrogen. That's really great for these Dreckos in terms of their scale growth. It means their scales will grow like super duper fast. Great. But I also want them to transform into mealwood eating glossy Dreckos. So we're going to have to balance the pressure over here. So you'll notice this is about 600, 700 Gs, and that's the oxygen down here is like at the 800 G range. So we'll just go ahead and shoot a little ventilation subnet here off the main line, and we'll just put ourselves a little air vent. And of course, we are going to automate this. So we're going to have an atmosphere sensor, say there, with some automation wire to shut, close the vent gate. And with this carbon dioxide geyser, it's going to go hot in 50 cycles or so, or cold, I should say. This is going to just produce massive amounts of cold carbon dioxide, which, I mean, I'll try to make use of it in some sort of way, but largely it's just going to be, I don't know if it's really going to have that big of an effect on cooling anything. But we'll try and make use of the natural gas carbon dioxide geyser here at some point. So we'll put that on the queue, kind of speed that up because we don't want this hydrogen to get lost. It's going to make it hard for them to do their job too. So that's another reason why we're putting this in place. We'll push the gases up to maybe the top 3 tiles of the chamber. It's the plan. All right, so we should see that gas come out. And we're going to say be green if it's below 1500. We'll start with that pressure level. See how that has an effect on the chamber up here. You can already see that we're now seeing some of this oxygen get pushed up into this area. It's not quite enough yet, but eventually we'll see a change in atmospheric composition here as this hydrogen gets compressed up and the oxygen slowly makes a pocket of air along maybe a two tile. Two tiles would be ideal of height. So we'll just keep an eye on the pressure down here to see what we need to balance it at. Um, Meanwhile, back over here, we now are kind of in the game where we're going to be putting some deodorizers along the chamber wall here just to simplify things um, and make sure that any polluted oxygen from this stuff gets processed. So looking at my choices here, I could probably put a couple along the wall here or maybe on the opposite side here. Um, I think we'll go on the left side because that's already where most of our stuff is going on. So there's a bog bucket there. I can't build on it. It's a little annoying. So we'll go there, 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 and there. I think that should be sufficient in terms of how many of these things we need. Guess I could leave a bog bucket up there. I mean, why not? We'll see how that bog bucket interferes with my livelihood. No, they're sitting on cobalt ore. So say goodbye to Mr. Bog Bucket. All right. And then we'll put airflow tiles underneath each of these just to keep the system lofty. We'll prioritize this construction pattern set so it happens. Yeah. All right. So temperature issues. So ultimately my plan will be to cool this area down. It's too hot to grow the mealwood. Just needs to be knocked down a few degrees. Honestly, if this carbon dioxide geyser was running, I might have done a quick ventilation loop in here to cool this down, and it might have worked, you know, to get the mealwood growing. So I don't have this thing turned on, so I can't do that. So my next best opportunity that I believe that I have here is to get some of this cooler polluted water over in this reservoir and then do a cooling loop in this area to cool this stuff down. So that's why I've been building this tunnel up. And now that I'm kind of at this particular height, I feel like I can get on top of this polluted water reservoir. Um, I feel like I have a nice shot right through here to get up and access over top of it. I don't want to disturb it too much down here. I'd love to come in here and make a reservoir for it and have really good control over it. Um, and I may very well do that, but the issue is these mud tiles would give way. Actually, that wouldn't be so bad if I put the boundary right there because there's polluted dirt all along the side here. So let's actually do that plan. Let's put um, a set of tiles across the bottom. I don't know if, let's not even bother with insulated tiles. Let's just go regular tiles. I don't mind if the polluted water cools some of this down. I mean, that's not a big deal. So we'll put that barrier boundary of tiles in place, and then we'll just cut in to all that, and we will have a nice, um, we'll have a nice little thing going on for ourselves. Increase priority on this stuff again. This is where I want the dupes to be working for the time being. See, so I was very concerned about this polluted mud giving way and dropping all the water down. It's making a huge, massive disaster, but I don't think that we're in danger of that happening. Now, unfortunately, Lindsay's been she kind of got the raw deal here, so we'll just break those 2 blocks for her, and she should be able to get out of there. Some mud down here, we'll clean that up. All right, coming near the end of the day again. Let's check on our farm. Another waterweed. Great. Let's go ahead and get the next one planted. And that's one of the most annoying things about these farms, I guess, is you have to kind of like check it every few seconds. But now I've got all these water weeds in here. They're growing. They're not gonna grow very fast. But they're gonna grow. And they ain't gonna cost me any resources. I don't need any machinery to keep the saltwater feed on these going. All I need is to just let them grow and maintain their proper temperature, um, which is no big deal. There's nothing going on in here that's going to change the temperature of this so much. So, with all this natural material left in place, any heat generated by this water sieve is easily absorbed into the surrounding materials. Their densities are so high that it just soaks that energy up and makes a small change in temperature that will take a very, very long time to have an effect on the base. All right, so we got to finish up this little uh, project that we're going to do for our little crabby friends. Put a little drop off in here as well. Oh, look at that. It's so nice. We'll put a couple of deodorizers up here too, just to keep the polluted oxygen, that kind of off gases, under control. It's a beautiful thing. All right, so we've got good air pressure here. Um, Take a look at what we've sort of stabilized at. Exactly what I wanted. One tile on the mealwood so that they can grow, and enough air for the dupes to work. That's perfect. Meanwhile, the rest of the chamber is filled with hydrogen, so it'll keep the Dreckos growing their scales. Whoa, double strength. Holy cow, look at that Travaldo. He's got like 2 big guns. Like, look at that. He's a behemoth. And he's got handy and he's got caregiver, so he could kind of do medicine if I ever. He can't do agriculture, but that's not a deal breaker. This Travaldo is huge. He's like a beast of. Yeah, I'd be a fool to pass up that. That's incredible. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this Travaldo, and I can, like I said, we're kind of at a food deficit, but we've got plenty of food stored up, so we can easily add a dupe. Why not do it? We got a nice one here. Welcome aboard, Travaldo. I'm impressed. This guy over here, he's like, who needs improved carrying? I can already carry a bus. He's just beastly. So we'll let's make him even beefier. So yeah, got some eggs growing in here, some hatchlings. How are we doing? Are we getting closer towards stone? Yes, we are. We're slowly growing in the stone hatchling egg department. And I think I might keep one of the eggs and sweep the other one. All right. So, back up to the top. Where are we at with our projects? Great. So, these deodorizers are now making this sort of an oxygen-friendly zone. We're going to continue our ventilation shaft up, and we are going to go ahead and pressurize this part of the base. We'll dig just a little bit around here, open this up, and then we'll put in our little vent. I think I'm going to go up, kind of like I've done in the previous examples of this machine setup. And of course, our sensor to control the air pressure is essential. All right, so we will have our ladder sort of be off center here. And again, we want to avoid these mud pockets to cause a collapse or anything. So we're going to just thread the needle right up here and then get access over to this polluted water reservoir over here. And with that, we have reached the top of the map, incredibly. Um, you can see copper deposits in this igneous rock that's super cold and a vacuum pocket here. This is the outer space part of the map. So we finally, after digging and digging and digging and climbing and climbing and climbing and climbing for many, many cycles and being stuck and, you know, having some setbacks and having to invest some time in other areas before continuing to climb up, we finally reached the top. Um, there's some plug slugs up here we can steal and plug into our generator network. Happy to take advantage of those little guys. And so this is good. This is a good thing that's going on here. Just notice the mud there, so I think this will be the safer course. But yeah, we're gonna get up there, up into outer space. Interesting. Just kind of noticing some of the. It's like really cold over here. That's really weird. It's like a ocean biome that's super cold for some reason. Hmm. Uh, so yeah, we're getting there. Again, being very careful of the mud aspect, because the mud could cause this stuff to shift and we'd lose a lot of, it'd be a big pain. So got a little hydrogen pocket here. And again, this is designed to sort of be a hydrogen sink so that this hydrogen will eventually collect and I could pull it off with you know, a gas vent, just pull this stuff off with a pump and put it where I want it. But we'll you try and do that kind of work just to kind of make your life easier, but it doesn't have an immediate payoff. So in terms of scheduling, so now we've got this additional dupe, Travaldo. We're going to put him on the uh, shift 2 schedule, and we're going to give him a hat. Nice. Okay. Checking for other skills. Yes, we're getting closer to the Masterworks uh, skill for our dupe. That's our artist upgraded hat. And so hopefully we'll get him up to Masterworks and then we'll be able to start building some art objects to improve morale around the base. And we're saving Ari's points just for some flexibility if we need something special. Back to the water weeds. Keep them coming, guys. So now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 waterweed plants growing here. Soon we'll have 10. So what that means is uh, in 50 cycles, we will have 10 times 5,000 calories. So we'll have about one dupe's worth of food for free, is what that amounts to. So plus it's that lettuce, which is a more valuable crop in terms of the happiness of the dupes. So not only are we getting, you know, additional calories, but we're also getting calories that the dupes are eventually going to really like. Um, so let's go ahead and take a peek at research for a second. So one of the things that I really want is this steam turbine, right? That's going to really be helpful. And again, I need rad bolts to get that technology unlocked. Um, and there's some other technology that we're going to want in place. So there's radiation sensors and things, micro-targeted medicine. So let's go ahead and get this research finished up while we're approaching getting rad bolt generation online. Seeing if there's any other low-level research that we can just get eventually. I might want to get the hazard protection set up and do some of this home luxury stuff. So more research that I get done now, then I won't have to play catch up later. So, and I might want to look into this portable gases technology because this would be helpful. Oxygen masks are nice, and we're going to definitely need it for definitely going to need some exosuits soon. So set up some research. Got plenty of water in here. Might as well use it up. Yep, we're doing good. Getting things done around here. Checking my germs. Do we have any germs anywhere? Not really. One of these guys is going to get the next seed and plant it for us. It's always a waiting game with those pips. All right. So now that I've built this wall here, I can kind of finally get this cooling loop set up. So let's check my tile size. So I've got tiles to spare on this room. So I'm going to go ahead and construct a ladder straight up. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a loop to cool this zone down. So I'm going to cool the plants primarily is the main target here. So we're going to just do a quick loop like that of radiant pipes made of aluminum, which have that high thermal conductivity. And then we'll have it connect in with a system over here. Now, we need a way in and a way out and some processing so I have space for tiles up here that I can put in place to manage this. So uh, we do want a temperature exit piece involved. So we will want a shutoff valve in place here to remove the water that is too hot from the system. We're going to check for that water here. So it'll go there and we'll have a temperature sensor at this place with the appropriate automation wire connecting the two pieces of equipment together and with electricity to operate the valve. Okay, so now we have the sort of exit part of the loop. If the water is too hot, eject it from the system and maybe we'll throw it down here or into one of these ponds over here. So we'll just throw it in here or I hate to just waste it. Maybe I'll even drip it into this reservoir, which we already have sort of controlled, and I can start to use this for some purpose. But, again, this is 20 degrees, 23 degrees. If I heat it up to 30 degrees over here, you know, these plants will start growing at 30 degrees, right? So if I get it to 30 degrees, it's going to allow these plants to grow. And if it's 30 degrees and I eject it out, well, this stuff's 30 degrees, so it can sit in the same similar temperature water pool until I need it. Fine. Great. Fabulous. So that's going to be the plan with that water. So let's go ahead and just pull it out. And I'm not super duper feeling like I need to absolutely do insulated pipes for this whole piece, but I am trying to control the temperature over here. So I'll use insulated pipes on the exit and then regular pipes on the output side so that we are not using too much material for this project. So we'll use regular pipes from this point forward and we'll eject the water out of the system over here. And let me just make this nice. I'll put the liquid vent here so that if this ever gets at max pressure, it'll just kind of bubble. It will never spill over. That's smart. And there's the output part. So we'll eject the warm water out. If the water is still an okay temperature, it can just go back into the system. Okay, so we'll have our cool water being pumped from here. And I do want this coolness to be preserved, so I will be using insulated pipes for this part of the system. I'll probably put the pump like here, and we can just go straight down. Remember that this is the input into the system. So put this one here. All right, now this is where we're going to have a little bit of an interesting piece here. So, right, it's coming in off the loop, but it's not hot enough. So we're going to pull it off here and then see how we're going to connect these across here. All right, so what does this do? When there's no water in the system, the water will come from here and be pushed into the system through this second output pipe. This will fill up with polluted water and start to cycle. When it hits this valve here, it'll get pushed out to this, and this ejection, this output has priority over the input side from the pump up here. So this one will start to cycle the water, so we'll see that loop being formed. If the water in the pipe is too hot, it'll get ejected out of the system to a holding tank down here. So once we have built the pump up here and moved this water down into this corner, no big deal. right? This is a piece of cake, a little bit of mining it and some ladder building, no big deal. We're going to have that in a second. But we've now set up the pipe, the plumbing for it. So great. Going to go ahead and start issuing high priority orders so that they build this because I want to get this finished. We got a new achievement. We got a new critter from an egg. Great. Not sure what it was. Hmm. Starting to wonder why they haven't planted this waterweed yet. There's plenty of seeds, but they haven't planted it. And I'm wondering, is there something in the way, something interfering? Well, there's this pinch of pepper plant here. Maybe I need to get rid of that. So I'm going to take that pinch of pepper plant out and see if they'll plant my waterweed as planned. And that means I'm going to have to come up here and clean house over here as well. So I might be able to put another one of these waterweed farms up here, but I don't know if I'm going to have enough seeds for another whole farm. So we'll see. Interesting. So I'm now noticing we're starting to hit uh, a consistent demand for oxygen from our pumps. That's going to increase the drain on our energy supply because they're going to be running more. And it also tells us that our duplicate population is now getting to the point where it's providing a sufficient drain on our oxygen that it's requiring the air systems we've built start working more. So at 10 dupes, that's now kind of giving me pause just in terms of our ventilation and air system. We've kind of reached a natural capacity on it, so we'll just have to be a little bit more careful. Oops. Yeah, so this is a pretty bad industrial accident over here, sort of stupidly caused by me having them empty all of my salt water into this chamber. Um, it's too much liquid as well, so we'll have to do a little bit of smart cleanup on this. Um, see if we can get this under control. I just goofed. I was planning on moving these poker shells down here and having this filled with seawater, but I stopped paying attention and now they've made a big old mess down here by following my orders. So, all right, we'll take care of this the old-fashioned way, just by mining a few more tiles to spread out the water, and hopefully the dupes will be able to do the rest. I think giving it a few more tiles will allow me to pick it back up. And then no harm, no foul. That's certainly annoying, a little bit of a setback, but I've had way worse industrial accidents than that. Still a little bit too much. Hmm. All right, so we did complete a couple of those researches. Keep the research train going and get those extra technologies that we want. So we'll go down this pathway here. So we've breached up here, and now we can start to take control of this area here. So I am going to build a ladder straight down along the edge, um, and we'll do some cuts in here just to kind of get this figured out. Of course, we'll stick a couple oxygen diffusers up here to help purify the air. All right. Did they get it? They did get it. Did they plan it? Yes, they did. So I do think that um, peppermint plant was kind of getting in the way there and slowing them down. But yeah, we're gonna keep on farming with our pips. Over here, kind of broke through a little bit. Um, yeah, we've got a bunch of water here that we're gonna spill out across these tiles and mop up. So we'll start with one little layer at a time here. And we'll get, oh, no, it's hardly anything. Might as well just break that first tile. Hopefully we'll get some quick action on these. Wondering if we're low on igneous rock. That's the issue. So I'm not seeing some work on those pipes. So let's take a look at that resource. And we've still got 229 tons of it, so it shouldn't be a problem. All right, so with these deodorizers in place, it's going to help kind of control the atmosphere here. They just got to get that filtration medium up there. And then we can complete this temperature control project. Ooh, some slug eggs? A pilot? That was some bad. I mean, that's not so bad, but I am interested in picking up a pilot. So um, I'll look for a high piloting seal, but these slug eggs are very attractive to me. I want to have more of these slugs plugged into our network. Just checking my reports. Okay, nothing lost in the slug department. Having these slugs juice up my network for free is great. We're starting to spend more energy to run things. Like I said, we saw a lot of activity on our gas pumps. So that means our machinery is being used. If our machinery is being used, we need to make sure that we're having enough energy and fuel. You'll remember this ethanol reserve was once this high. We've consumed more than half of it now. What's the plan for replacing that ethanol? Well, uh, we'll go find more ethanol for now. I mean, there's a little pocket over here. We can easily just roll right down into the zone here and keep ourselves gassed up. So we'll do something temporary like that. But we will need to eventually deal with the energy situation. So, oh, they planted that pinch of peppermoot again, and that's going to interfere with our base. Those darn pips, they planted the seed. We'll have to sweep it. Oh no, don't you do it. Don't you do it, you little rascal. Ah, I hope pinch of peppermint seeds are on here. Yeah, they're on there. All right. Um, Getting there. So we can now kind of visualize how this is going to work. Nearly reached the end of the project. So all we gotta do is let them do what they need to do, and we'll be as good as gold. There's a little bit more polluted water here, so I might try and just tap in and make this fall down. But I'll do one tile over just to be a little bit safer. And that mud will fall, and then the water will flood right out. So that'll be fine. Nice. All right, so we've managed to modify the water here, polluted water. We've got our pump design. We've got access to it, and we can shave the rest of this down and get the water to all flow. So this could totally drain out this water reservoir very comfortably. So this is, I think this is going fairly well in terms of the project we've set up. It's still a nice stable 90 tile capacity. All right, so setting our temperature thing. So if it's above 30 degrees, we want it ejected from the system. We did refine some additional aluminum with the intent of doing this project. Um, so again, once we cool it down to that 30-degree range, those plants will grow and we'll be in business with this Drecko, glossy Drecko farm. So let's go ahead and juice up the priority on a couple of these things. Unreachable dig. Oh, is this fish in the way? I think the fish might be blocking them from building it. I don't know. We'll get there. How are we doing over here? Nope. They keep planting this darn pinch of peppermint plant. If only they went over here and planted it over here, that'd be fine by me. But we'll get all of our salt waterweed plants in place sooner or later. Meanwhile, a new generation of pips has been born. That's great, right? So I can just let these eggs hatch while these guys are over here. And when this job is done, I can eat all these guys. They can have planted me my nice garden, and then I can turn around and eat them. Um, I already have more pips to do the next project with, so might as well just do it that way. let's see here. So yeah, that's the spirit. Gotta mop up all this water. It's a pain to mop it up by hand, but better than having to build a little pump and fart around that way. So trying to carve into this land the way that I want to, get the things the way that I want done. Um, where does all that polluted water go? Well, it goes right into this reservoir system. So they just pick it up and just jam it right over here. So it's all good. I mean, we'll make use of that water one way or another. Some hand-to-hand combat with some liquid reservoirs, right? All right, I'm satisfied. And look, I think our system's running. So here we have it. Um, you can kind of see the cooling effect happening. Uh, when the water hits that 30-degree mark, it does get ejected from the system. So we're going to keep this zone slowly cooling down. And our mealwood plants are starting to grow. So that's great. This means the Dreckos will be able to eat, so they won't starve to death. They'll just take bites out of this. Um, yeah, so we're going to get right up to 30 degrees here with this. So I'm going to actually change the threshold a little bit, and I'll say if it's above 25 degrees, because I want to really have a margin of safety here. So we're going to eject the water that's above 25 degrees now and cool this down further so that we're confident that the temperature in this area is going to be satisfactory for the mealwood plants. And meanwhile, that uh, extra water is just being pumped over into this reservoir where we can use it for some other purpose. And you can see this is a nice green temperature range now because of those radiant pipes doing most of the work there. And uh, we'll slowly eventually pump away most of this, but in the process, keeping a part of the base cool that needs to be cooled. So we should see glossy Dreckos start to develop out of these Dreckos that we have here. And they'll eat these mealwood plants and be happy. So that's great. We've solved that issue. Um, Fortunately, we're losing a lot of the water, and this will eventually back up, I think. Don't know if I have enough tiles. We'll figure it out. And we've got idleness happening, so gotta start setting up some more projects. All right, get a brine here. And this brings us, we're right in the middle of cycle 150. Amazing. Um, so I'm going to go ahead and put a storage bin here for eggs here. And you'll notice these plug slugs have released eggs. So they will reproduce themselves. Uh, that's awesome. Our slug eggs in here. Priority at 9. Get them all gathered up. And speaking of eggs, kind of nice to release the eggs in here. We've got 4 of them. That may wind up making these guys cramped, right? So now they're cramped. So it's keeping the eggs in here does kind of cause an issue. So one way you can avoid this is by sort of having like a little mini nursery where you hold your critter eggs and then you wrangle them and put them where they're supposed to be. Um, so I may set up something like that while I'm talking about it right now and realizing that, oh, now they're cramped, they're not going to lay any more eggs. Even though these guys are wild, they only usually lay an egg like once in their life when they're wild. So let me see if I can put something like that in place. And where would I want that to be is another good question. So like a mini nursery for eggs. All right, so I'm gonna feed the poker shell and poker shell spawn in this area. Building flooded. Does that mean it's not gonna work? Hmm. Put our poker shells in here. We'll sweep up these regular, um, where's that egg? Sometimes they're hard to get. Sweep up those eggs. All right, so one thing that I've been kind of thinking about changing, besides this poker shell thing, getting those poker shells wrapped up, stored where I want them to be stored. Um, great. Is this nursery idea? So um, this needs to be sort of a room where you'd store your guys before they're born, and then you wrangle them out of there. So I might even stick it someplace down here. So let's go ahead and do that. So how this is going to work is it's going to be pretty straightforward. There's going to be a storage bin. There is going to be a critter drop off. Mm-hmm. Okay. We'll get our eggs in here. So for now, we're really looking at slug eggs as the critter we want to grow. All right, so you might have noticed this configuration on here. Um, so we're growing some plug sluglets. All right, so now what we've done is we've set up this little chamber. Um, and these slug eggs are incubating and they'll take a while to grow. But when they're finished, they'll pop out, and I've set this up so that it'll auto wrangle the plug sluglets, and then they'll get put over here where they can accept plug sluglets. That way, if these guys ever lay another egg, I don't think they will, but if they do, they're I'll always have the correct number of eggs to replace the plug slugs I have. Hopefully that kind of makes sense. Um, I can use this for other eggs as well, for other critters. So as long as I can wrangle that critter, I could just stash him in this little egg house, let the eggs pop, and then wrangle the critters immediately out of the room so that nothing gets really disrupted. Um, so we'll see if this goes anywhere. All right. So we finally got rid of the last of this water. We do have polluted oxygen kind of swirling around in this zone. It's a little annoying. Um, and we'll not too worried about it. It's not like there's slime germs or anything in there. There could be eventually, but probably not. So let's just go ahead and double down on our oxygen deodorizers a little bit so that we're dealing with that. I can break this down now that I've finished that water project. Maybe I can put one of them here as well. And that should be enough time to keep fighting over here. All right, so the line for the plantings is going to be up as high as I can get it. So here. So I'm going to go ahead and take those out. We've got to do a bioscan to unlock this zone. So we'll build the ladder we need to get over there, do the bioscan to unlock, and we'll make it happen. They'll jump off here and climb over. We'll have to build a ladder or something. All right. So at 151, I do feel like this is a good place to stop in the middle of the night with our dupes taking their rest or dancing the night away, as it were. Um, and we'll hope you enjoyed the video. We'll see you next time.